wait. Oh, that's fine. Anyway, I created this course out here, and it's self-enroll. You have to enroll, blah, blah, blah. I get an email stating that you enrolled and all that good stuff. Yes, that's me. I was a little heavier than I lost a little weight this summer.
I thought I bullied you into changing it. Remember the one with like the weird crowd?
Yeah, you probably did. You're probably mean. Some people are just mean to me, I guess. I don't know. You know how it goes. People abuse you. I cry at night. You don't care. None of you care. So yes, I changed the picture. Anyway, the advantage to this is that it's a partnership through Cisco, and doing the assignments in there does another thing for you besides what I can do in this class, and that's that those assignments actually prepare you for an exam that is offered by Python to certify you as all the way up to an associate Python programmer, blah, blah, blah. And that certification would look good on your resume. I can't give you the test. It costs money to take the test, but it would prepare you for the test, if you just catch what I'm saying. It's a very good tool. Let me see if I can actually. And I hate to say it, but the first bit of it unfortunately duplicates some of the stuff we're going to do in class, except I don't make you do all of the memorization of a lot of the terms and stuff like that. Oh, what did I make that this time? Did I do it that way? Yeah. I hate when these leak, though. I probably break it by shaking it so much. What do I know? I don't know anything. Leave me alone. It's my computer. I am looking for programming. This should have just taken me out to the courses I'm teaching, and it's not. But you go out here, and why is it doing this to me? It shouldn't do this to me. It should take me right out to the course I'm teaching. Shouldn't it? Why is it doing this? Is it because I'm just first time? I don't remember. Courses? Oh, I hate when it does this stuff to me. MINET Academy, maybe. A few archived courses. I don't have an archived course. Why can't I remember where to go? Do not make fun of me again. That's just mean. Oh, here. I'm teaching. Duh. It's not showing me teaching anything. Why couldn't I get in there? I can go to learning, and there those are. Well, good. I'll show it to you from the learning side. You've got the programming essentials in Python, which is what the course was that I set up, and you go out here and literally just do the things. It gives you a lesson, and you do the coding and stuff, and it's just an online environment. In this class, we're going to apply, like during class, we're going to apply a lot of this stuff, well, most of the stuff, and create applications that actually do stuff. Out here, you're going to do simple things like quizzes, some coding and stuff like that. They'll ask you, okay, what's missing in this line of code, all of that stuff. So it's stuff that'll help you pass their exam. This thing's leaking bad. I gotta drink that fast. So anyway, and of course you have the option here where you go out here and you can register to take it, et cetera, et cetera. I think you get a discount at least for taking it through this, because it is a partnership through Cisco, and we are, Northwood has a partnership with Cisco, so it all just kind of goes down. Make sense? So that's why I want you to do this. Okay. With that said, get out of there, go back here. And as you do stuff, it does give you grades and stuff, and I can pull those grades back into Blackboard and stuff, so, you know, there's that. And I need the textbook. Which brings us out here to here. I'm trying to remember everything today, and I'm getting there. If they ever had a secure password tracker program for my phone, I'd probably use it, because I've got like 90,000 passwords because I've been doing this many years, and I don't use the same password for everything, but I only use like 5 technically, and I use them all over the place, and just a little different. Like I say, I'm the world's worst nightmare when it comes to cybersecurity. It's like anyone that wanted to could actually go out and use this site, because my password is not that difficult. I've actually handed my password out, but only one person can use it at one time. So anyway, chapter 3, they start to, I don't know if I want to get into chapter 3 yet. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because we started doing the if and stuff like that, but I think it's important that we talk about the difference between pseudocode and flowcharting, and why I don't teach pseudocode. Pseudocode is almost literally writing the program. The only thing that's missing is like the syntax and stuff like that. To me, it's a wasted step. I like flowcharting because I can go back, look at a map, see which way I was thinking I was going, and then look at my code and say, oh, I'm not actually going that direction, right? And did I show you guys how to create a flowchart in this class yet? Yeah, okay. So, you know, you have your decision tree, etc., and when we look at what we did last class, which was Hello World, and then I changed it, and I had confusion in my head as always because I'm getting old. Just dementia when you're confused, I don't know. Anyway, we started with print, and then remember, for people that don't remember, that would error out. And then we said, we changed it to if, and then we had input first. And then I think I said name equals that. So I made a variable. Okay, this is a variable. And variables are most often a temporary storage location for input. Or maybe even for, well, it's for input because it can be input that's created within the rest of your program, or it can be input where somebody literally types something in. Okay, so a variable is something that's usually temporary. You can do constants, but we won't get into that right now because that's just more confusing. And some are global, some are local. If I was, let me do this first. Remember that? And remember how I missed those? And then down here, print. By the way, it is case sensitive. This language is case sensitive. You don't want to do a capital P. Okay. This language is case sensitive. It's tab sensitive. If I have an if that starts there, technically, writing it up here, this should be indented one tab because it falls in the if. Okay. And then didn't want that. No, that was right. I forgot something else, right? I'm trying to remember what I did. Not that. Name. Lowercase name. That adds whatever's in the variable. Okay, so variable was here, it's an input. If I type my name, it stores it in that variable. Therefore, I can call on that variable. Follow me? Okay. Am I expecting you to remember everything you're seeing right now? No. I'm expecting you to recognize it next time you see it. You're going to get closer and closer to like, oh yeah, I know what you're doing. But right now, you're kind of, hopefully, just sitting there thinking about it, okay? Because the goal is that you're going to see it again and again and again, and we learn through repetition. So, I don't know, something like that, okay? So then, once the else is done, your tab is going to come back out here somehow, and you continue, etc., etc. So that's what we had. So we had the if, we had the else, all that good stuff. I'm going to come over here and map that, okay? We have something, we have a start for the program. We come down. We're inputting our name. Then we come down, we have a decision. We'll make that lowercase because that's what it is over there. Look like that. Now, I just did something that you should never do. You should never write your program first and then map it. You should always create your map first because it shows you where you should be going. And if your program doesn't work, you have a map to look back on and figure out, well, where did I go wrong? If you do what I just did, your map has whatever you did wrong in it. Yeah, so I already potentially have a map that's wrong. I don't think it is, but if I was to have you guys create a program based on that flowchart, there might be a problem because that code could have been wrong and I made that after. I hate doing that. The one thing I never do, I'm not going to let you do, is I never create these. I hate it. I don't like flowcharting. It's a pain in the neck. But I've been programming for 20-some years. Maybe actually over that. What am I, I'm 48, so it's 48. I've been programming for 36 years. I don't like flowcharting. You have to do it though. Because what will happen is you're going to be like me, sitting in your office trying to figure out where you went wrong, having to look at tons and tons of code, saying, well, okay, I went here, I went there. The other issue is if you don't finish your program in one sitting, where were you? Now you can comment, you can add comments to your code so you know where you were. That can be helpful, right? So in C#, I know that if I was to put 2 slashes in front of that, it would comment that code. If I didn't want to comment the code, I could say okay. So I can put a comment in there to give me a hint. In Python, I don't comment very often anymore. Python, is it hashtag? I can't remember all of a sudden. I want to say it's hashtags. It's pound signs. No hashtag. Okay, it's renamed it on me. I'm not happy about that. Not happy about that at all. Okay, so anyway, not that it matters what I'm happy. It doesn't matter what I'm happy about, does it? See, he's honest with me. That's why I appreciate you. Few agonizing percent. That's the name of this program. As soon as it pops up, it's going to maybe pop up. There we go. So, hashtags. So if I wanted to comment this line out because I think there's a problem with that line and I want to test, don't ever just delete code until you know that it's not needed. You hashtag it, turn it into a comment so it doesn't run it. It just looks at it as, okay, here's a line of code, or there's a line of comment. It doesn't execute it, it just bypasses it. Comments are great, especially if I have multiple people working on the same project, right? Because now I know that you did it, right? So I'm like, well, now I know there might be a problem here. I don't really know that because you're probably better at this than me anyway. So, yeah, we can do that. Now, if we were to follow this, just so you know, this would be, you might also see true here and false here. Equals is if we're testing to see if something equals. Equals is if we're trying to set something equal to another thing. So a single equal sign is setting a variable or something equal to a value, where a double is what we use for testing. Okay? There's quite a few things that we can do. What in the heck just happened? I can't touch the desk. Weird. Okay. So, if I type this in, let's just make sure it works again. I'm going to change what that first line of code says. Why? Because I can. I'm going to squeeze this in over here. I'm going to expand this a little. That way I can see my code. And then I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to say single equal, set something equal to, right? If you notice as I'm typing, it automatically throws some things in. So if I start syntax, it will give me the other side. So pay attention to that, because if I was to add another quote at the end of that by accident because I didn't realize they did that, now it's going to give me another set of quotes, and I don't want to do that. Okay? They actually did a better job. They've been making changes to this website, and they've improved it quite a bit, because it used to just let you put an extra quote without giving you the completion quote. You should always have the same number of opening quotes as closing quotes. If you don't, you're going to have problems. Right? Right. Okay, glad you all agree. So, now, we said if name equal and then we said we need this, right? If it does, then we are going to print Now, here's the thing. I've seen people do what I'm going to show you, where you can go plus quote space quote to give that space away from, so your name shows up one space over, or if you remember to do it, you just put a space and then a quote. Okay? But it doesn't automatically move this over a space. It doesn't recognize that. You have to tell it, and that's with any of them. So then I got to go back here and say else print. I'm just going to say, I'm going to get lazy. Okay? And that's all I told it to do. So if I run, it's going to ask for, this is my first program, enter your first name, Dave. I should have probably put a space at that too, right? And I hit enter and it says hello world Dave, blah, blah, blah. Put that space in there and it'll make more sense, see? Now, we didn't test it the other way, did we? When you test your code, test it both ways. Make sure it's actually working no matter what, because you could get an error and someone types in the wrong name and it just bombs out. Which, bombing out is not the end of the world. Let me do it this way. Let me just put test in here. It literally tells you what line number your error is on, or a line number near your error, so one either side, one line either side. So it recognizes it and it bombs out. That's okay. You just fix the code and you're back at it. We didn't test it the other way, where if I just type nothing, there we go, wrong name. So now I've tested that. I'm controlling for errors, making sure that things happen. Okay. This is going to be messy. So, I don't want to say, well, I hate the terminology not rocket science, because it could be rocket science for some people, and I don't want to minimize that. But it doesn't have to be extremely difficult. We start small and we just keep building. Okay? And you can literally take this program and turn it into a journal rather quickly and easily, right? And there are functions that are built in, like the date function and that, where I can pick up today's date and time, and I can write that into a storage location, etc. As a matter of fact, as you start typing stuff, let me go here. You can't use the word date, because if you do, that is a command. So you might get errors when you go to use certain variable names. So if that was the case, oops. If that was the case, maybe I want to say it's not picking up all my keystrokes. Now's not an option. Doesn't want to do date. No. Time. I don't want to do timeout error. Trying to think how I want to do this. I don't know if I can do this. I should be able to do this at this point. Just trying to think. Date, time. See, in C#, it would look like this, and you can get today's date, etc. But this is a different language, and I get confused because I usually program in. Oh, I created a variable called probe date. I know if I put it in here as I can do it as a hard code. Why can't I remember that? Why can't I remember that? I don't have to import. Oh yeah, I do. Okay, I forgot to do that. I'll show you. This is how you do things. Can't remember something? There's a couple things you have to do. Number one, you have to import your command set. So now I've imported my command set, and here if I say probe date, and then instead of print probe date, I can move that. What's that? Did it just black out again? I think that thing overheats now and then, and I'm not happy about that because I've been complaining about that for like 3 or 4 years, and they literally had an IT person come sit in here and watch this thing for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and it never did it. So they're like, "There's no problem." Yes, there is a problem. I have witnesses. Do I have a witness? Can I have a witness? Thank you. So then you would print probe date. What is going? Oh, okay. You didn't want to let me go past that. So then, you know, you do D, and it's going to show you the date. But it shows you the date, the number of hours it is into the date. It's not 13 hours. You know what? I wonder if that's going by their date time. It's not 13 hours yet, right? 13 hours is 1 o'clock. I wonder where they're getting that time from. I'm not getting it from this computer. But anyway, it's showing you the time of day all the way down to partial seconds, right? And you can actually tell it the format that you want it to put out there, if you want month, 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 day, 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 that type of thing. So if you go back here, how do you format the date? Well, we got datetime.now, which would show exactly the current time. And let's see, I don't want it that way because I'm setting it equal. I want to format the date, and here's where you start getting into that. So I'm printing the date, but I want to show it a very specific way, right? So I could do something like will that work? I think that'll work. That should work, because yeah, because as you go down through the list, it should be month, 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 month. Yeah, that should work. So why is it going to give me an error? Oh, I don't need the comma, dude. That should not give me that error. That should not give me that error at all. Maybe it's because I didn't do this right. That should not give me that. Yeah, that's datetime.now. It should not be giving me that error.
Is there a reason why you're using two M's instead of one?
Well, two M's, it dictates how you want it shown. Okay? The number of M's, the number of D's, the number of Y's dictates how you want something shown. And if I do if I was to do something like that should show me, like, if I remember correctly, that should show me the number for the month. So if it was August, it would show me 8. If I do %MM, that should give me like an abbreviation. If I did MMM, it should give me more, and so on. Normally %MMMM is the full word. If I'm remembering correctly. You can actually test that because you can go into Excel, because you got to remember that these things are actually operating and taking information from your computer, right? If I'm asking for date time, it's getting it from a computer. Follow me? And in here, if I was to type today's date, which is 09, okay, so that's a date. If I go back here and I say I want more number formats, and I can say date, and I can select how I want it to show, or I can do custom, and you see how it says month, day, year. So if I was to put, and you see how it's showing right here, 9/3/21. Watch what happens if I put another M. It's 09. If I put another M, it's Sep. If I put another M, it is September. Okay? If I put a D here, I've got 03. I got I've got Friday. Follow me? And if I add my years, now I've changed. I don't think that matters after that, so I think it's just 1Y. Okay? And if I wanted to, I could go to the extent that I think I can even do the hour. Nah, it doesn't want to do that because it's a slash. Can I do a dash without creating a problem? No, it doesn't want to do that because I'm trying to combine them. Anyway, yeah, so that's what that does. Make sense? And that's the way you format dates in just about every programming language. And why it's not working here when I know it should. Maybe I can do that. Probe date equals. I'm not missing anything, right? Oh, yeah, I am. I've got to turn it into a string. I don't want string time, I want date. And that should have fixed my problem. And it didn't fix my problem. Why would it not fix my problem? Oh, that's why. Case sensitive. No, it still didn't fix my problem. Someone please tell me why it's not fixing my problem. It's in, oh, syntax, people. Something simple. So if I do month and I run and why am I getting an error there? Function missing required argument year. Why is it required? Let's do today. Now let's try running. Okay, there we go. Still doesn't like me. Why does it not like me today? String date time. Formatting it as that. I don't see any issue. Maybe I do that? There should be absolutely no problem here. Daytime. Let's just see what happens. It's just not liking that at all. It's not bringing it in as a string. By the way, there are different types of variables. There are strings, there are ints, there are decimals, there are Boolean. Boolean is just a 1 or a 0. It's a true or a false. Integer has to be a positive whole number. Decimal obviously allows you decimals. I've always liked double because double can be any number, doesn't matter, and then you can convert it however you want. And it's having a problem because it's not bringing it in as a year. So next year, I don't want to do that, but I guess strf time. Yeah, let's try that. strf. Still doesn't like it. Yeah, so I don't know why it's doing this. Probe date, strf date. Dot. Yeah. I don't think it's going to matter. Yeah. It does not like me at all. Date time dot date time. Date. Yeah, it doesn't like me at all. Attribute now. I'm just thinking if I can do that there, if I have to do it down here. So I know it doesn't go there. Yeah, it doesn't go there. I'll figure that out. I don't know why it's not working. I don't see anything I'm missing. Datetime.now. Import date time. Yeah, it doesn't like that either. .now should be bringing everything in. So if I'm, because here it works. Was I missing? No, I wasn't missing a parenthesis, was I? I know I wasn't missing a parenthesis, was I? Oh, it prints it right there, and then I should be able to format it. And it's not going to like me still, yeah. I don't know why it's not doing it. I thought for a second maybe I missed a parenthesis. I didn't. Okay. Yeah, I do not see anything I'm missing. Does anyone see anything I'm missing? Yeah, I don't see. I know if I go A, just to test it. Okay, so it's returning Friday. So if I go back here and I look, yeah, weekday full, so that's working. So I should be able to put an M in there. Why on earth? Why would it give me 49? That actually makes absolutely 0 sense. Yeah, I don't know why it gave me 49. Lowercase m? That actually makes no sense. Okay, there we go. Why would an uppercase M give me 49? We gotta look. Lowercase m, oh, minutes. And it was right. 49 minutes. Why would, I hate that. I've never understood that. You do this totally different, and it's actually quite easy in C#, which is strange because C is actually a harder language to do than Python. But now we know. So lowercase m, uppercase A is for hour or day of the week, and the full word. What's lowercase a? Yeah, the abbreviated. So it's slightly different than what you would see in, yeah, it's different than what you're going to see in Excel, different than what you're going to see in C#, but it's the same concept that you have a percent and then you have A. They do uppercase, lowercase for abbreviations, etc. So anyway, so I can bring it in, I can format it, but one of the lessons in this part is that you actually have to import certain things. If I was going to do any type of stats, I would have to do import numpy or something of that sort. Okay? And I'm not using numpy, so the underline in green means that I'm not actually using that function. So I'm importing a library of commands, but I'm not using it at all. If I was to take this code out of here and this code out of here, it's going to tell me that I'm not using the other one. Okay? If I'm not using something, why am I going to keep all that stuff in the library, right? So that's important to understand. It's not the most difficult thing in the world. What's really cool is that somebody's already done all of that programming for you. All these commands and everything are already done for you. There are disadvantages to importing packages for cybersecurity gurus in this room. And the disadvantage is there's no check. It's like I had a long conversation with the Weaver about this, because in programming, more and more people are developing programs in things like R and Python and even C# and Java are starting to use packets where things are already created. They haven't been vetted. So you have no clue if there are hidden commands and stuff within that code, because you don't have access to that code. You would have to be able to decompile the code that they wrote to decide what they're doing there. And I'm like, and this is how we teach you, because you can do all this stuff without importing commands, but it takes a lot more effort. There's a lot more programming to do. It's just like if I was programming, give you a quick example. If we were in a different language, I'm going to take us to Visual Studio, and this is a really good example of how things are done in the background that you don't do. I'm going to create this Windows Forms app. I don't really care. And once it's open, I am going to have it do, I'm going to go out here. Hello. You're supposed to give me a toolbar. View. Tools. Toolbox. I need that. So if I was to draw a checkbox out here, pull that out, there are things that get created in code that you don't create. Okay, there will be code that shows the size, the font that you chose, and everything else based on you selecting from a list of how you want it to look, what you're going to name it, and everything else. Well, a lot of stuff is done in the background for you. Make sense? So if that's the case, in this case, I mean, this is all Visual Studio, this is a Microsoft product, and they don't let people just create stuff necessarily, but you can actually still import commands, and that's what a lot of people are doing. Another thing that's happening is a lot of us are literally going out to the internet, downloading, or like copying, pasting code, and we change the things that we need to change, but we don't necessarily change everything, or we don't get rid of the things we're not using. You don't always know what those things are doing. So I think it's important to understand that. So when you go out there and you look at code and you don't understand code, you don't know if they're opening a port, you don't know if they're opening a database necessarily unless you actually understand the code. You don't know if they're getting stuff from a table in a database. You don't know if they're collecting the password that you type in. So it's important that you actually understand code. You know, the difference between an input and an output, the difference between a global variable versus a constant variable versus just a flat-out relative variable relative to whatever I enter or what have you. So, is that making sense? So, those are things that you really have to take into consideration. So yeah, this is actually this is probably one of the most important lessons, is the fact that you can import commands from other places. And this website doesn't let us import every single command that's out there. For instance, I think I can import, what's the one for database? There are various ones. And by the way, you can go out to, someone please remind me what the website is that everyone's using as a repository for all of this stuff. Somebody in here I know knows this. Has to know this. Maybe. Is there anyone that does any programming ever?
Like, are you talking about like GitHub?
Yeah, GitHub. There we go. See? He knows. So if I want, I can import something like MySQL statements, and it will allow me to do certain things, but when I go to use them, it might say that this version of Python that you're running doesn't allow that. And what happens is this: if I want to do access, like Microsoft Access commands, it bases everything on the version of Access I have installed. If I want to do Excel commands, it does everything based on the version of Excel that I have installed. If I installed, and what I mean by that is if I installed a 32-bit version, these commands might work. If I installed a 64-bit version, it might be a totally different set of commands. So it does make a difference. Now the thing is within programming you can test to see which version they have, and then you can do the import and everything else. Right? Glad you all agree. So, long story short, you don't have to remember everything that you saw. The idea is that you're picking up the fact that there's syntax, that you're picking up that there's tabs that dictate the order things are happening and the level that they're happening within the program. So instead of using a semicolon at the end of every line to say that that line of code is done, I don't do that. If I remember correctly, it'll still run that way in Python. It just doesn't. What the heck did I just do? Don't make fun of me. It might still run depending on what lines you're putting that on, but it's not something you need to do. And the other lesson is that we actually can import packets of commands that have already been created, so I don't have to sit there and try to figure out how to get that out of the kernel that the operating system is based off of. Right? Yeah, I know. So, someone needs caffeine, and it's not me. The last thing I need is caffeine. Questions? No matter how much programming you do, you are going to run into errors. You are going to forget how to do things. And what's stupid is you'll forget how to do the most mundane things. You know, formatting a date. I know that, you know, you can do month in one program language. I know like C# extremely well. I can do that with my eyes closed. Python I know well. I know C well. I know Java. I know HTML obviously well. And at the end of the day, it's really easy to confuse how these commands happen. Even like Excel, being able to format a date, that's easy. I can remember that. Formatting it in here, I can't always remember that. Sometimes I forget how to format a date when I'm programming in C#. Wonderful world of the internet, you always have access to resources, right? You can do a search. Here's the problem when you search for code, and I'm going to do it real quick. How to write to I got to spell things right. How to write to a database in Python. And what you do is that a lot of people end up at Stack Overflow and stuff like that. And you have to be careful. And the reason you have to be careful is because some people are literally so into the fact that they know how to program and do things that you don't know how to do, that they will show you the hardest way to do them. They will show you the longest, most drawn out way to do them just to prove that they can do it. And then you're sitting there, you're like, I don't even get this. First thing I do, I always look for the easiest, simplest stuff first, which is this. Okay? And I know that this is connecting to a database. It's on the local system. It's in my root directory. I have a password set up. If I don't have a password, I can get rid of that. I know that it's looking for it's looking to place my cursor somewhere. And when I execute, I know that it's inserting into a table called title, and its values are whatever this is, and it's putting it in something called test. It's not like I can understand the code, and if I can understand the code, I can edit the code and make it work with what I'm doing. For instance, instead of saying localhost, I could literally have the whole path. Now, I think, yeah, this is the wrong code, just so you know. So you look at what their options are and how they fix things. Okay? So they have a sub-process that they create. I don't want to do a sub-process. I want to do it simple. I want the fewest lines of code. I want to be as efficient in my coding as possible. Make sense? Why are you going to be inefficient? Why are you going to have 1,000 lines of code for something that takes 500? Right? It's like every time I open a database, I close it immediately. So I'll open it, I'll pull in the information I want. It'll be stored in variables. I close it, so it's open for a millisecond, maybe even smaller than a millisecond. And then I close it. That way I know for a fact that you have a millisecond to get into the database that I just walked into, right? And then if I set passwords and stuff like that, now you have a millisecond to fight to get into that database. See what I'm saying? So you open, you close, you open, you close. Some people open and they leave it open long enough to get a large data set and move it to temporary storage. And then they take that large data set and write it back, which takes a little longer than a millisecond. So there's a little more time. Also, that all that data that you put on your computer, that data is sitting in temporary storage, and your computer is not as secure as what a server is, necessarily. So a lot of issues there. I try to avoid that. I pull, and it might be considered a little inefficient to do it that way, but I don't think so. It's just the way I prefer. And you'll develop your own habits if you decide that you're going down this route and everything else. Okay? I mean, this person, he's actually testing to see if there's a primary key and everything else. Well, if your code for your insert command is correct and your database is set up correct, you shouldn't have to test for a primary key. It should be there. Period. Okay? So, anyway, long drawn out way of doing things. Is this actually Python that you're doing this in? Yeah. And guess what? This person right here set up a class, and Python doesn't do classes from what I remember. They do methods and stuff like that, so I think that code might be wrong. No, I don't think they made it do classes yet in this last version. Or is it cases? Maybe they do. No, they don't do cases. They don't do cases. They do nested ifs. Maybe they do classes. Classes are just like a subprogram you set up, and then you can call on that class whenever you want. Maybe you can't do it, but I'm trying to remember. I don't think you can do cases. I think you have to do nested. Because in C-based languages, you can do a case, and instead of doing if, and keep testing cases, you can set a case statement up, and it says case, this variable, and then all the potential opportunities and the result for those opportunities. So it actually tests against each case, and if it meets that case, it does, Anyway, that's here nor there. But at the end of the day, as you search for stuff, seriously, try to find the simplest solution first and test it. there was and I don't know if I can find it, there's an application I was writing, and I think I moved it. I think I can get it. There was a program I was writing in C# last semester no, not that. I don't want that. I want this. The program literally used the camera that's on the computer to take your picture for like a membership program. So I could take your picture, so I could see your picture, etc. Well, in the code, remember how I said you import packets and stuff like that? Well, if I was to go to this, for instance, I did double click that, correct? Why is it taking so long to go into that? It'll catch up. Every now and then I'm faster than the computer, and that just makes me feel all powerful. There we go. Okay. Way up at the top, there should be, this is a previous version. You know how you import in Python, here you say using these commands, and there's so this is the wrong version, because what I did was I imported a set of commands that accessed your camera, and it allowed you to access your camera, take photos and everything, and store them in a location with very few lines of code by importing someone else's code that they already created. That's a problem, because I have no clue what else that did. But it worked. Suited my purpose, right? So for cybersecurity, your thing would be to actually install that software that I created out there in a virtual environment, test to see if it actually does anything, and if it doesn't, then you allow me to install it on an actual system. Make sense? So there's a whole nother step that has to take place when you download a piece of software. A lot of times, especially on Northwood's network, you download a piece of software, they might not even allow you to download it, because when you click on that to download it, it takes that file that you're downloading, plugs it into a virtual environment, installs it temporarily to see what it does, and if it has any viruses or anything whatsoever, or any potential opportunities for breaching our system or whatever, it'll say, yeah, no, you're not getting that, and it'll do away with it and not allow you to download it. How you like that? That's a good way to stop viruses, just so you know. You have a system that does that. But yeah, if I was in the right version, which I am not, and I don't know where I put that right version, you would actually be able to see the code that does that. You know what? This might be it, actually. This might be it. Maybe. Maybe not. Tab 2. No, that's not it. You'll just have to trust me that the code was there. It's on my computer in my office. I don't remember where else I put it. Not that it matters. You guys don't care. You don't want to see it, right? You just want out. I know what you want. Now I'm just kind of wasting my thoughts. I'm just seeing if I do have it, because it drives me nuts. Probably not. Not fantasy sports. Was it under esports? No. Anyway, hopefully you got something out of today's lecture. You're seeing things ahead of time you're going to be doing in the future. And what's going to happen is you're going to be doing these exercises out there in this online environment. And that stuff's self-paced. I will say by a certain date you have to be at this point, because I want you to actually finish all of that within this semester. That way I know when you leave this class you could potentially go take that exam And I can't guarantee you would pass, but you should be prepared for that exam. Okay. Anyway, any questions, concerns
How many chapters are there?
in?
That online assignment thing?
Oh, geez.
You don't have to look if you don't know off the top of your head.
I know there's 2 modules, and each module has, I believe, 8.
Okay.
8 parts to each module.
So it would be good to do like one a week or?
Yeah, I would try to do one a week. Some of them go really easy and really quick, like the first 2. It's mostly reading and getting used to some syntax and stuff like that. Just watching that, the couple lectures that I've done and stuff, you can probably blaze right through the first 2. Then 3 you'd probably want a week to do, 4 you'd want a week to do, and so on. So by midterm, basically, try to be done with that first block, that first module. And that first module is not, it's certified something, and then the second module is associate program Python cert. So, okay. Good question though. Yeah, I did remember it's 8 in each because there's technically 1 each week. So, but the first 2 you should be able to blaze through. So go out and do them. Like.
Talk about Netacad?
Yeah, in Netacad. Yep. Sign up for that. If you don't sign up for that, you won't be able to do that, and it is part of your grade. That is the online component. Do you guys understand? A lot of you, this is the first time you've ever taken a blended course. We meet in person 1 day a week. The other day a week is completely online work. Okay? That Net Academy thing, that is that online component. It takes you through multiple steps, blah, blah, blah. The first 8 weeks, or the first 8 assignments, they say can take up to 75 hours. And it seems like a lot, but it's not when you're considering that you're doing it over 8 weeks. We have to meet, for our accreditation, we have to meet 45 contact hours per semester. Okay? You're getting half of that because, like, face-to-face contact hours, you're getting half of that, so we're already at 22.5. We have to make that up. And we make that up through online work, videos, stuff like that. I could do online lectures if I wanted to. I chose to use Net Academy for a reason, because that's actually designed towards a test, which allows you to be able to take that test. I'm not teaching towards a test, I'm teaching towards the skill set. I want you to be able to program and create something that works as a whole. They just teach you how to do lines of code, blocks of code that serve one purpose and one purpose only. So we're at 22.5, we've got to make that up. And then on top of that, we're supposed to have approximately and I'm being kind, you're supposed to have like 3 hours of homework per week, per class. I've actually heard worse than that. I've heard that you should have almost 3 times that, because they say, well, technically college, you should have 3 hours for every credit hour. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But what does this get us? This gets us our accreditation. Without accreditation, your degree's worthless. You still have the education, but if you try to take that anywhere else, they won't take it. So, especially like you want to go for a master's degree or something like that, they won't take it. Okay? Yeah.
So, like, what we're going to be graded on is like most of it's going to be on like that Python stuff, right? Like,
You're going to have projects that you do in class, and those will be graded. You'll have a midterm exam, a final exam. Not difficult stuff. You're going to be reading code, telling me what it does, stuff like that. And then, yeah, you have that stuff. That stuff, I'm not, like, if you get a C, but you pass, because C is passing for them, I think 70% is passing on any of it. If you get that, I'm just giving you credit. I'm not going to nitpick and say, well, you know, as long as you're passing those things, you're going to get credit. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So credit means you're getting 100% for that part. So that's out of class assignments.
So as long as we do them, complete them, and pass them,
Yeah.
we can get an A in this class.
Yep.
Assuming midterms and final exam we do good.
Right. In your textbook, we're going to be following that along in class, working on a project or a couple projects or something, where you are literally applying each one to improve a single project every week. We're going to do something new to improve what we're doing. For instance, you know, today we did print. We showed you how you can import something. We show you date, time, stuff like that. We show you if else. We didn't do if else, if, and then else or anything like that yet. But once we get that done, okay, well now how do I add that to a Word file? Now how do I add that to an Excel file? How do I pull information in from a Word file? How do I pull it in from an Excel file? How do I do mathematical calculations based on that stuff? Okay? We will be doing it all. That book is there for a reason, because we're following that chapter-wise in class and doing new things every week. But I like doing it with one project that you start, that you have some level of interest in, that you get kind of like a stakehold in, and we just continually build. And the reason is because textbooks and that testing stuff, they show you one example or two examples. They don't show you how it all works together all the time. I want you to see at the end of the class how all of this stuff comes together and you can create something of value. Okay? Questions? Say he doesn't have questions. Any other questions? Okay. Have a good weekend. Stay alive, don't get in trouble. The guy's just like, oh, he was tired. He didn't want to be here. No, you can always tell someone that just doesn't want to be here. Stretch. Yes, we're going to be out of here.
Like,
I don't know why the internet's not working.
yeah, not on my iPad. It's so annoying.
I haven't been able to do anything on it.
This is an IT problem.
I feel like it's always on Friday, like it was last Friday either.
I'm just getting started.
I don't even have the faintest clue. I don't know how my account ended up locked even. That's stupid. So anyway. It's sad. But think, 12 years ago, I was 210 pounds and I was bench pressing 425.
Crap. I don't believe it unless you have proof.
I have a lot of people that saw it numerous times. I was working out at 325.
Was it here?
No, I used to work out at Powerhouse. I was seriously working out 2 to 4 hours a day, every day. Yeah. I never took a break. Kept going.
Just grind it out? Just grind it out?
Yep. That's all you can do, man. But yeah, I went from, I'm actually on a downward trend as far as my weight right now. Been working on it, but I actually went back then I went from, I was 330 pounds, got down to 210 in 8 months.
Holy crap.
I went from a max bench of like 145 to the max of 425 in that same period of time.
That's amazing.
Everyone's like, you're on roids, man. No, I wasn't. I was eating chicken, fish, and vegetables 3 times a day. That's all, you know. So, and just slowly, it was like freakish. It really was. Yeah, it was just
just constant growth. It's ridiculous. And, yeah. Then I got injured. And just kind of all fell apart. Then I got married and it got worse.
What was your injury?
Tore my rotator cuff. And I just kind of, some of the things.
Okay.
I also, well, I should say, it started when I broke my hand doing something stupid. And so I had a cast on for a while and I wasn't lifting. And then there were like three things that came into play. Number one, that happened. Number two, my gym moved from one location to another. And when it moved, it's like the atmosphere changed. And then I tore my rotator cuff, and then I was just like, forget it. So then I started changing the diet and everything else, and just I went down there. I can still go in, I can still bench 25, no problem. I just, that's nuts. You know, it's like,
How did that go?
I didn't lose all the strength. But my friends used to be like, man, you got some calves. I'm like, yeah, I was doing toe raises with 330 pounds for 10 years. You know, they're like, never thought about that. It's, yeah, you want big calves, get fat. But yeah, it's nuts. You know, I love it because this one kid comes up to me. Says, how much do you bench press? I said, what difference does it make? What? Well, how much do you drink? How much do you do here? You know, it's not all about bench press. Bench press is nothing. You know, your arm size comes from back here.
Exactly. Bench press is the chest.
Now, I always get, you have the same problem, you have long arms.
Yeah.
So when you're coming down, you got it way down, way up.
More than everybody else.
Yeah, and I remember there was this kid in high school, and he was big, like, he was probably 400 pounds then. And his arms were short, and he literally had to go like this far, and he would be like, yeah, I can bench 400. I'm like, you're moving at 3 inches.
Right.
And it's the easiest 3 inches, because your elbows don't even break playing. You know, you're like right here. Like, you got pops. Like you do all the, you know, different lifts. It's a lot. Hold down this mat with just my fingertips, and I do it, I stack it like any machine holding it. Okay.
Really? Just stack it up.
I'm a big guy.
I have a question here.
Yeah, what? Huh? No, okay, maybe.
So, I gotta log on to this, and then I just go through and get started.
Yeah.
Is there like time something, like if I click on it?
Nope.
Okay,
It's free, long-term.
okay. And then that's just where we complete assignments?
Yep. For Net Academy, yes.
Okay. Nope, not my password.
Oh, you didn't type the whole email address, right?
Still not my password.
What in the heck? Did you forget your password?
I have like a million passwords. Forget password. Oh, remember that when I told you my apartment was leaking like a week ago? So my laptop got destroyed from the leaking, and they like told me they were gonna get me one. I'm still waiting. So I can do assignments. I just don't want to go to like all the lab or the library and stuff like that.
I'll understand.
Yeah.
I'm usually a pretty understanding individual. I'm not out to hurt people too much.
Still waiting for that. Okay,
Where'd that go?